Chess is a game that some Meforshim explain is referred to in Ksuvos. The women, what do they fill their time with? If they're not working, they play games. Some say that this game is chess. And chess is got 16 pieces on a board with eight rows on the board. The focus is around the king. The king doesn't move much, and really in times of danger does it come and do anything, but in general it kind of stays where it is. The queen is the main piece that protects the king and moves about. You have the three subservient pieces, the bishop, the knight, and the rook. But the key point is around the pawns. The pawns move slowly, they can only go forward. Usually it's just one step at a time. They can't under normal circumstances take a leap. They get taken easily, they get taken often, and there's a race for the pawns to get to the other end, to get to square 8. When they get to square 8, then they can become a queen. Now that's all in the mashal. This game is obviously a mashal, the nimshal. So the king represents God. And there's two sides. There's a white and there's a black. And it's perfectly reflected. There's always balance in the force. Whatever you have on this side, you'll have on the other side. So I've God, well I've a God. Whatever you're doing, you'll always say you have the king, I have the queen. Everything that's in one side, the other side has to say that they have it. Otherwise, it's not a fair battle. So the king, again, he doesn't reveal himself much except in times of danger. In the times of Yetzias Mitzrayim, Hashem reveals himself. The queen is Malchus of Atzilus, which is in the realms of where God is one. He's already come into existence, but there's no separation between him and his midos. So the queen is the main player in the game, but we don't usually have access to it. And you have the 3 levels of angels: the Seraphim, Chayas, and Ophanim, that the rook, the bishop, and the knight. Now they all are successful, doing well, but there's already a level of self there. They feel themselves. It's not about God. There's me serving God, how I experience God. And they can, the whole time that they're moving around the board, but they can never become the queen. They can never reach the level of the queen. However, the pawn, if he makes it to the end, he didn't get knocked out. He wasn't taken slowly, step by step. He gets there, then he can become a queen. And then by becoming the queen, then he can help everybody win the game. And that the rook and the bishop can win the game through the pawn becoming the queen and winning. So that the Jew, who's the pawn, he seems to be less powerful than the rook. However, the Jew can go somewhere where the angels cannot go. And even though it's a difficult path, much more difficult path it's easier to get the rook to the last line rather than the pawn to the last line. When the rook gets there, there's no transformation. He's not able, he can never become the queen. But the pawn can. Again, why is a rook a rook? Because he started as a rook. Why is the pawn the queen? Because he walked the path. And then winning the game, the only way, well, it's not the only way, but if the pawn becomes the queen, again on the 8th square, which represents Mashiach and transcendence. So they're reaching the level of Malchus of Atzilus, and the level of Atzilus, the pawn gets there. And the angels can never get there. But the angels can win because the Jew has made it there.